My parents always said they couldn't afford to help me. But somehow, they found $85,000 for my younger sister's dream wedding. They smiled for every photo, cried during every speech. And when I quietly asked if they could help me with the down payment on my tiny apartment, my father looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You're an adult now. Figure it out yourself." I did. 5 years later, they stood outside my front door because they were about to lose the only home they'd ever owned. And suddenly, the daughter they forgot was the only person who could save them. Emily Carter used to believe that if she worked just a little harder, her parents would finally look at her the same way they looked at her younger sister, Lily. She was 10 years old when she realized that wasn't going to happen. It was Lily's dance recital. Emily had spent weeks building a model of the solar system for her school's science fair. It was the biggest project she'd ever done, and she had begged her parents to come see her presentation. Her mother smiled apologetically. "Sweetheart, Lily's recital is the same day. She'll be so disappointed if we don't go. You'll understand, won't you?" Emily nodded, even though every part of her wanted to cry. She stood alone beside her project while other children's parents took pictures and clapped with pride. When the winners were announced, Emily earned first place. She searched the crowd one last time. There was no one there for her. That evening, she quietly placed the blue ribbon on the kitchen counter. Her father barely looked up from his phone. "That's nice," he muttered. Then he turned toward Lily, who was still wearing her sparkling dance costume. "You were amazing today, sweetheart. We're so proud of you." Emily smiled anyway. Not because she was happy, but because she didn't want anyone to notice how much it hurt. As the years passed, nothing changed. Lily received birthday parties with dozens of guests. Emily got a homemade cake after everyone came home from Lily's soccer tournament. Lily got a brand new car on her 16th birthday. Emily inherited their grandmother's old sedan with nearly 200,000 miles on it. Whenever Emily questioned the difference, her parents always gave the same answer. "Your sister just needs us more." Emily stopped asking. Instead, she got a part-time job at 16, paid for her own clothes, bought her own school supplies, and learned that expecting nothing was far less painful than hoping for everything. She graduated near the top of her class. Her parents missed the ceremony because Lily had a destination cheerleading competition. Emily looked into the crowd one last time before accepting her diploma. Just like years earlier, their seats were empty. She told herself it didn't matter anymore. But deep inside, she wondered if there would ever come a day when her parents would choose her first. She had no idea. The biggest test of that question was still waiting for her. By the time Emily turned 24, she had stopped waiting for her parents to change. She had graduated from college with student loans instead of family support. While her classmates celebrated with parents who helped them move into their first apartments, Emily worked double shifts at a local bank, trying to build a future one paycheck at a time. Lily's life looked very different. She had never worried about tuition. Never worried about rent. Never worried about bills. Their parents paid for everything. By the time Emily turned 24, she had stopped waiting for her parents to change. She had graduated from college with student loans instead of family support. While her classmates celebrated with parents who helped them move into their first apartments, Emily worked double shifts at a local bank, trying to build a future one paycheck at a time. Lily's life looked very different. She had never worried about tuition. Never worried about rent. Never worried about bills. Their parents paid for everything. Whenever Lily made a mistake, someone else fixed it. Whenever Emily struggled, she was told to be strong. Then one Sunday afternoon, Emily received a phone call from her mother. "We're having a family dinner tonight. Don't be late, we have exciting news." For a brief moment, Emily allowed herself to hope. Maybe this time was different. Maybe they wanted to celebrate something she had accomplished. When she arrived, balloons decorated the dining room. Lily stood in the center of the room, showing off a sparkling diamond ring. "We're getting married," Lily shouted happily. Everyone clapped. Emily hugged her sister and genuinely wished her happiness. Then her father stood up with a smile Emily hadn't seen in years. "We've decided to give Lily the wedding she's always dreamed of." A slideshow appeared on the television. Luxury venue. Designer dress. Live orchestra. 5-star catering. A honeymoon in Italy. The total budget appeared on the final slide. $85,000. Emily felt her stomach tighten. She had spent the last 3 years saving every extra dollar, hoping to buy a small townhouse before prices rose again. She quietly asked, "Mom, Dad, I only need a little help for my down payment. Could you maybe loan me some money? I'll pay every penny back." The room went silent. Her father sighed. "Emily, we're sorry, but we can't afford that." She looked back at the giant screen still displaying an $85,000 wedding budget. "You can afford this, but not help me buy my first home?" Her mother's expression hardened. "This is different." "How?" Emily whispered. "Because weddings happen once in a lifetime." Emily swallowed the lump in her throat. "So does finally having a place to call home." Her father pushed back his chair. "You're an adult now. Figure it out yourself like everyone else." Emily looked around the table. No one defended her. Not even Lily. She quietly stood up, wished them a beautiful wedding, and walked out of the house. As she drove away, she made herself one promise. She would never ask her parents for anything again. Emily kept the promise she had made to herself that night. She never asked her parents for help again. Instead, she threw herself into work. While Lily spent months planning flower arrangements, tasting wedding cakes, and posting engagement photos online, Emily picked up extra shifts, accepted freelance bookkeeping jobs on weekends, and lived in a tiny one-bedroom apartment with furniture she bought secondhand. It wasn't glamorous, but every paycheck brought her one step closer to the life she wanted. 2 years later, an opportunity changed everything. A small financial consulting firm was looking for someone willing to work long hours in exchange for a chance to become a partner one day. The salary wasn't impressive. The hours were brutal. Most people quit within months. Emily accepted without hesitation. She became the first person to arrive every morning and the last person to leave every night. Her coworkers laughed at how hard she worked. "You're doing the work of 3 people," one of them joked. Emily simply smiled. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was trying to make sure she would never have to depend on anyone again. 3 years passed. The company grew faster than anyone expected. When the owner retired, he shocked everyone by offering Emily a partnership. "You've earned this," he told her. "You treated this business like it was your own from day one." For the first time in her life, someone believed in her without comparing her to anyone else. Within another year, Emily bought a beautiful home in a quiet neighborhood. Not a mansion, not a luxury estate. Just a warm, peaceful house she had paid for with her own hard work. On moving day, she stood in the empty living room, holding the keys. She smiled through tears. No parents had helped with the down payment. No family member had co-signed a loan. Every brick of that house represented years of sacrifice. She quietly whispered, "I did it." She almost called her parents to tell them. Almost. But then she remembered her father's words. "Figure it out yourself." So she put her phone back into her pocket. Meanwhile, Lily's perfect life wasn't as perfect as it looked online. The expensive wedding had come with expensive habits. Her husband loved showing off cars, vacations, and designer clothes they couldn't truly afford. Credit card debt began piling up. Mortgage payments were missed. And the same parents who had once spent $85,000 on one unforgettable wedding were slowly running out of money trying to keep Lily's family afloat. Emily had no idea. She was too busy building the future they had once told her she would never have. Emily had lived in her new home for almost 18 months when her phone rang late on a rainy Tuesday evening. The caller ID made her freeze. Mom. It was the first time her mother had called in nearly 2 years. Emily stared at the screen until the ringing stopped. A second later, it started again. Then a third time. Finally, she answered. There was no cheerful greeting. No apology. Only panic. Emily, we need your help. Emily remained silent. Her mother continued speaking through tears. The bank is taking the house. Emily slowly closed her laptop. What happened? For several seconds, all she heard was crying. Then the truth finally came out. After Lily's expensive wedding, her husband had convinced everyone to invest in a luxury restaurant. Emily's parents had emptied nearly all of their retirement savings to help them. When the restaurant failed less than 2 years later, the debt didn't disappear. It multiplied. Then Lily and her husband stopped making mortgage payments on their own house. Unable to watch their favorite daughter lose everything, Emily's parents secretly refinanced their own home to pay Lily's debts. It still wasn't enough. Lily's husband walked away. The marriage collapsed. The restaurant closed. The loans remained. Now the bank was preparing to foreclose on the family home Emily had grown up in. The same house where she had spent years trying to earn her parents' love. Emily. Her mother whispered. We don't have anyone else. Emily looked around her beautiful living room. The framed degrees. The family photos she had created with friends who became her chosen family. The house she had bought without a single dollar from her parents. 5 years ago, she had asked them for help buying a modest home. They said no. Today, they were asking her to save theirs. Her mother finally said the words Emily had waited her entire life to hear. We were wrong. But before Emily could answer, another voice suddenly came onto the phone. It was her father. For the first time in years, his voice wasn't filled with pride. It was filled with fear. Emily, please come home. Emily closed her eyes. The little girl who had once stood alone at her science fair wanted to run to them. The woman she had become. Wasn't sure she should. And for the first time in their lives, her parents had no idea what her answer would be. Emily didn't drive to her parents' house that night. Instead, she spent hours sitting alone in her living room, replaying every memory she had tried so hard to leave behind. The forgotten birthdays. The empty seats at her graduation. The words that had followed her for years. Figure it out yourself. By sunrise, she had made a decision. Not about the house, but about herself. She would never again let guilt make choices that her heart wasn't ready to make. The next afternoon, Emily drove to the family home for the first time in nearly 5 years. Nothing had changed. The white paint was peeling. The flower beds her grandmother once loved were overgrown. And taped to the front window was a bright yellow notice. Final foreclosure warning. Her mother burst into tears the moment she stepped out of the car. She wrapped Emily in a hug so tight it almost felt like the childhood embrace she'd spent years wishing for. Almost. Inside the house, everything felt smaller than Emily remembered. Her father looked older. His shoulders, once so proud, now seemed heavy with regret. No one spoke for several minutes. Finally, her father cleared his throat. Emily, I owe you an apology. She waited. I spent years believing I was helping the child who needed me most. He glanced toward Lily, who sat silently with swollen eyes. I didn't realize I was losing the child who never asked for anything. Those words hit Emily harder than she expected. For years, she had imagined hearing them. Now that they were finally spoken, they couldn't erase what had happened. Her mother slid a folder across the table. Inside were overdue mortgage statements, legal notices, and foreclosure documents. "We need $280,000 to stop the foreclosure," she whispered. Emily slowly closed the folder. Then she looked at each member of her family. "When I needed help buying my first home, you told me to figure it out myself." No one could meet her eyes. Lily began crying. "Emily, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault." Emily took a deep breath. She wasn't angry anymore. She was simply tired. Then she quietly said something that left the entire room frozen. "I'm not here to buy back your mistakes." The silence that followed was almost unbearable. But before anyone could respond, Emily added one sentence that changed everything. "I'm here to offer you something much more valuable than money." The room fell completely silent. Emily looked at each member of her family before speaking again. "I'm not here to buy back your mistakes," she repeated calmly. "I'm here to give you one last chance to rebuild your lives the right way." Her father frowned. "What do you mean?" Emily slowly opened the folder she had brought with her. Inside were documents from her financial consulting company. "I won't pay off your debts." Everyone's faces dropped. Then she continued, "Because if I do, nothing will change. 6 months from now, you'll be right back where you are today." Her mother wiped away her tears. "Then, what are you offering?" Emily looked directly at her father. "I'll help you negotiate with the bank." She turned toward her mother. "I'll create a financial plan so you can keep your home." Finally, she looked at Lily. "And I'll help you find a job." Lily stared at her in disbelief. You're still willing to help me?" Emily nodded slowly. "I'm willing to help anyone who's ready to help themselves." She paused. "But there are conditions." Her father straightened in his chair. "Anything." Emily's voice remained calm but firm. "No more lies. No more hiding debt. No more treating one child like they're worth more than another." Then she said the words that no one expected. "From today forward, if we're going to be a family again, we start over as equals." Tears rolled down her mother's face. Her father lowered his head. For the first time in his life, he realized success wasn't measured by the money he'd spent on one daughter. It was measured by the character of the daughter he had ignored. Over the next several weeks, Emily worked tirelessly. She met with lawyers, negotiated with the bank, helped restructure the family's debts, found Lily a stable office job instead of another risky business venture. It wasn't easy. Every meeting forced them to confront years of painful decisions. Slowly, things began to change. One evening, as Emily prepared to leave after another financial meeting, her father stopped her at the front door. His eyes filled with tears. "Emily, I spent years trying to build the perfect future for your sister. I never realized the child who ended up saving this family was you." For the first time in years, Emily didn't feel invisible anymore. 6 months later, the foreclosure notice was gone. The house was still standing. Not because someone had written a huge check, but because, for the first time, everyone in the family had taken responsibility for their own choices. Emily had helped them create a plan. Her father found part-time work after retirement instead of hiding from reality. Her mother learned to live within a budget instead of trying to keep up appearances. Lily worked full-time, paid off her own debts, and stopped expecting everyone else to rescue her. Little by little, the family began rebuilding something far more valuable than money: trust. One Sunday afternoon, Emily received another phone call from her mother. "Would you come over for dinner?" Emily smiled politely. Is it someone's birthday? Her mother laughed softly. No. Then what's the occasion? There was a long pause. Finally, her mother whispered, No special occasion. We just miss our daughter. Emily closed her eyes. Those were words she had dreamed of hearing since childhood. That evening, she walked through the front door carrying a homemade apple pie. This time, no one ignored her. Her father stood first. Instead of shaking her hand, he wrapped his arms around her. I'm sorry, he whispered. Not because we lost the house, but because I almost lost my daughter forever. Emily hugged him back. She wasn't pretending the past had never happened. She simply refused to let it control the rest of her life. During dinner, her father raised a glass. For years, I believed success meant giving one child everything. He looked at Emily with tears in his eyes. Now I know success means loving every child equally. Lily reached across the table and squeezed Emily's hand. Thank you for giving us a second chance. Emily smiled. A second chance only matters if you become better because of it. Everyone nodded. For the first time in many years, they truly understood. As Emily drove home that night, she realized something. Saving the house had never been her greatest achievement. Saving herself had been. Because the strongest revenge isn't making people suffer. It's building a life so full of peace, dignity, and success that the people who once underestimated you are forced to confront what they lost, and becoming the kind of person who no longer needs their approval to be happy.